Guys, how's it going? It's Al. Week 10 is already here. We're halfway through it. Week 10 on DraftKings NFL DFS, and I have a first look lineup that I'm going to go over. We're going to try and build a tournament-based lineup on DraftKings built around a quarterback, double stack, bring back. A lot of correlation in that lineup, trying to squeeze in some really good plays around those stacks to try and get us the leverage to get to the top of the lineup. This is not going to be a cash game build. I'm not looking for the best price per dollar in every single lineup spot like you would in a 50-50 or a head-to-head game. I'm willing to take chances in this lineup to give myself the best chance in this lineup exercise at building a possibly very high scoring lineup to give me a chance to take down a tournament. So drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell, and let's go.
He's a legend.
The Smiz Gang Listener League is posted for this week. 4,500 entries, $10 to enter 3 max. You can only get there through the link tree. Go to smizzle.tv/links. It will take you there. You'll have the links to the Listener League and literally everything else that I do. Here's the link to the Listener League. You can donate to No Kid Hungry if you have had a winning season, a winning week. You just enjoy the content. We're trying to get $50,000 raised from the community. I will match every $10,000 up to $50,000 myself. Make sure that you jump in the Discord, especially if you're a channel member on YouTube. You get access to all the VIP rooms in there. So basically everything I do is right here. And the recap video for week 9 is posted on the Al Smizzle Fantasy Football channel on YouTube. So go check out the recap video if you wanted to see everything that happened in week 9. Taking a look at what we have this week. It's over here on wide receivers, but let's start at quarterback. It's a weird week, all right? So it's a weird week again, shall I say. But the pricing seems to be a little bit tighter this week. They've raised the prices on some of the premium players at both wide receiver and running back. Something that they've done in years past. Right around week 9, week 10, DraftKings starts pricing up the most obvious superstar plays. The problem is, for us, as lineup builders, is that they had already tightened up the low end at running back and at wide receiver, specifically way more at wide receiver. Running back, we've been able to find a ton of values between like 5,500 and 7,000 all year long. But like at wide receiver, the plays that used to be 3,300 to 4,300 are now like 5K and up. So they've made it much more difficult to build lineups. As I said, there's a 10-game slate on this one due to all the bye weeks that are still coming until like week 14, as well as having a Germany game. We're sending the Buccaneers and the Seahawks over to Germany this week, so they're not there. Falcons, Panthers on Thursday night, Chargers, 49ers on Sunday, Commanders, Eagles on Monday night. So we've got some really good pieces and really good offenses and players, specifically individuals, that are not on this slate as well. And some of the pieces, like if we look at like Minnesota, Buffalo, this is very expensive to go after a secondary stack if you want the premiums in this one. And then the secondary players on both teams, Davis, Thielen, McKenzie, Osborne, even at tight end with Dawson Knox, have not been very steady in terms of targets. We're praying for touchdowns as the second player there. This is probably the best secondary stack on the week right here. If you can get to this, if enough value opens up this week that you can get to Jefferson and Diggs, that's the highest, most premium. That's the one everybody's going to want to get to. The most obvious one, averaging about 50 points per game, massive touchdown upside. Both players have 40-point upside as well. TJ Hawkinson, probably the best secondary option on Minnesota right now in the passing game. Dalvin Cook's had a really solid season. So focusing on these quarterbacks, Josh Allen showed you how expensive Diggs is. Patrick Mahomes, very expensive double stacks here. You can kind of get there, but they make it really tough with Mahomes being at 7,900, Kelsey at 7,800, and deservedly so. Like, can we just like marvel at the amount of volume that he's had, averaging 22.1, averaging 22 fantasy points for a tight end. If you got 22 points out of whatever tight end you're playing on DraftKings, like, I got 22 points, like, you're psyched. This is just the average with Travis Kelce, a massive differentiator at the position. Week in and week out. If you can afford to get to him, you get a lot of leverage on that position, especially if you can hit value at wide receiver or running back. And then there's like a mess after this. Juju Smith-Schuster and then a bunch of guys. Looking at the other tight ends on the slate, Kyler Murray, fine. Tua has been like the go-to double stack, right? So like they haven't really moved Tua's price all that much. 6,500, 6,700, 6,200, 60. Like he's been in this range since that week 2 explosion against Baltimore, right? He's kind of lived in this range, and that's a safe spot for him. And DraftKings is happy with that. But what they did is they gassed up Tyreek Hill to 9,100, rightfully so. 30 points, 34 points, 32 points. The breaker of slates, first of his name, 9,100. You want to double stack him? Well, it's the best double stack in the league. They've got like 600 more yards than the second double stacked wide receiver duo in the league. 19.5, 33.6, 20.9, slate breaking 43-point day there. He's 7,600. You got to spend roughly Texas with a dollar sign to get that Miami double stack. So I'm going to look for value to see if I can find somebody that's under 6K. Cousins is 6, Wilson 5.9, Rodgers 5.8. Stafford hasn't put up any 20-point days so far. And based on what Travis Etienne's done the last few weeks, I think that Trevor Lawrence is really good leverage off of that once again. Another very efficient day, 235. Did not throw for more than one touchdown for like what? Every week since week 5? But they're moving the ball a lot better. And he's been very efficient. It's efficiency, not volume, that's led to that. But he should see more volume this week going up against Kansas City, considering that they should be playing from behind in this one. I love the fact that this is not a statue quarterback, right? This is a mobile quarterback. 6 runs for 53 yards. This is what they need to do more for us as fantasy players. For him to have consistent fantasy value, we need Trevor Lawrence to basically run the ball 5 times a game, which is something he's going to do partially on his own when he escapes pressure, and partially they're adding in design runs on some read option stuff for him in RPO. He has been efficient in the dink and dunk when they have let him throw the ball. They're going to have to throw it about 40 times in this game as they project to be playing from behind. And his pass catchers are not expensive. And it can give us access to some of the other plays, right? So Etienne, 7,100, not a pass catcher. This bugs me. I've tweeted this out. I've said it on streams numerous times. We need to normalize Travis Etienne getting over 5 targets per game, every single game, and stop treating him like he's Derrick Henry, giving him 24, 28 carries and not throwing him the football. This Cordarrelle Patterson week 10 through 17 from last year, where like they went from throwing Cordarrelle the ball a ton early in the year and running him like 10 or 12 times to running him 25 times and not throwing him the ball at all. Targets are worth more than carries. And as such, if everybody's going to run towards Travis Etienne Jr., who has been fabulous, by the way, I'm going to take Christian Kirk for 1,200 less with the amount of targets that he's gotten and that have not ended up being touchdowns. He's been extremely solid, looked very good last week with 21.6. Big uptick in terms of his targets. I'm going to go with Marvin Jones Jr. in this one. It's kind of just roll the dice with the next 3. Whether you're going to go with Marvin Jones Jr. at 4,300, Zay Jones at 4,400, you're hoping that one of them wanders into the end zone, or Evan Ingram, who had a bad game after like 4 or 5 straight really good games at tight end. He might bounce back in this spot and is only 3,300, opens up a little bit more value and plays a tight end spot in that spot. I'm going to go with Marvin Jones for this lineup. I'm also not going to play Travis Kelce in this one because of what I want to do at running back. Now, this is the best play probably, right? On a point per dollar standpoint, we already talked about it. You can leverage that position, but people are ignoring how good Juju Smith-Schuster has been now that he has settled into this offense. Earlier in the year, like, it was spotty. He still drops a ball every now and again, but like his ability to get open and the trust that he has built that you can see on the field the last month or so with Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes now believes that he is his go-to outside guy. And the other guys, I think Tony's the best of the other guys. MVS was running a bunch of wind sprints the other night on Sunday night. And then, I don't know, maybe it's my own personal bias with Mecole Hardman. He's fast and they're involving him, but like, I don't think that those 9 targets are going to be very sticky, where I think that Juju Smith-Schuster is clearly the guy that they go to 8 times a game pretty much every single week and is only 6K. So that gives me this middling stack in a game that has a total of 50 points. Let's move over to the running back position. And I'm going to say this to you again. I've said it in a lot of other weeks. We play running backs against the Houston Texans on this channel. We do that all the time, especially when they're a high volume running back who gets like 90% of the snaps and touches at the position. Coming off a bye week, Saquon Barkley's 8,600. Jimmy Crack Corn, and I don't care. Yes, there could be value at the position, but Saquon Barkley is a priority spend up on a shorter slate with only 10 games at 8,600 against one of the worst running defenses in the league. Now, if I don't go with him, then I can probably afford to go get up to Kelsey. There will be lineups that I build across my Millionaire Maker lineups that have that sort of a build, and we'll get into there. The value range that we've seen the most this year, Harris is down to 5,500. Good Lord. Jeff Wilson Jr. eating into the work already in week 1, 12 opportunities for him in Miami. That renders kind of both of them, him and Mostert, less than palatable against another defense that we want to stream running backs against. So like, that's going to be a dangerous spot. Dallas is favored by a lot. Ezekiel Elliott is questionable. We'll see if he is able to come back this week. If he is able to come back, that muddies up that situation, because they are a favored team against a team that has not done well at stopping opposing running backs, and it's a late game spot. 6,500 for Pollard would be awfully nice if Ezekiel Elliott is out, but I can't include that in Best Buys right now, or sorry, in First Look right now, because we just don't know. I would prefer Zeke take another week off. Him coming back after 1 week would, I appreciate that he's tough and all that, but like, dude, take a minute, take a beat, let Pollard cook, let him do his thing, and let us enjoy all the things that are Tony Pollard. Alvin Kamara is still too cheap. 7,400. Michael Thomas ain't walking through that door to play the Patino game. This targets column is exactly what we want to target every single week. They're going up against Pittsburgh, who middling against running backs. Like they're not the best defense against running backs. They're not the worst. They're right in the middle of the pack. But like, Kamara is basically, you're getting a wide receiver 1. We want wide receivers that get us 10 targets. So now we have the best matchup with Barkley. We have a guy that should not see less than 6-7 targets at all, which is what we should be targeting based on DraftKings scoring. And so I've got Barkley, Kamara, as well as access to the highest totaled game on the slate. Let's just plug in a cheap defense, right? It's like Vikings, sure. I don't care. They're against Buffalo. Jets did fine. They might not do whatever, but like, we can fit whatever we need to fit in here. If you want to pay up for a different one, I don't care. I don't pay much attention to defense early. I know we're going to try to find opportunities to spend down at defense, and I'm always okay going with a defense against a team that drops back, presumably drops back a ton at a really low price because of how much variance there is on defense. Let's fill the tight end spot, and then we'll get to trying to find a secondary stack. So at tight end, already the best differentiator is Kelsey. Second best would be Hawkinson. If you wanted to go here, I'm totally fine. Like, this is a great spot, and correlate it with somebody on Buffalo as a secondary stack works great. I'm definitely going to have that. Love the fact that he got 9 targets and played like all of the snaps in his first game. They acquired this dude to be their secondary receiver, considering that Thielen has not done a great job of getting separation, getting open. And KJ Osborne, all apologies, but like, it's in terms of NFL wide receivers, he's a jag. So it is what it is. He's just a guy running around and running routes. He's not a difference maker. He's not a game changer. But Hawkinson can be as that secondary guy behind JJ, who is clearly an alpha among alphas. Now Hawkinson gets to roam around and find open spots, and Kirk has done a good job delivering the football all season long. So if you want to pay up for Hawkinson as a difference maker, I'm fine with that. Zach Ertz, another solid week. Piling up a really good season, 12.2 fantasy points on the year, lower total in that game. Freiermuth, I'm not buying into in that spot, but David Njoku, if he comes back in this spot, 7 targets, 6 targets, 6 targets, 7 targets, 10 targets. One of the most reliable tight ends in the league at the lowest price that we're probably going to see if he comes back in this spot. I believe he is going to, and I'm going to plug him in here coming off of the bye week against Miami, as I believe that the Browns should be in more passing script situations, more positive game script for the passing game as they project to play from behind in this one. And that offense is going to be entirely difficult to stop. So 4,100 there, leaving me 6,100 for a flex spot. I have Alvin Kamara in this spot. I want to find as much value and as much volume as I can. We can afford to get up to Lazard against Dallas. Mostert, I already talked about how I don't like that situation. If you want to go there, that's fine. But like, realize that it's probably going to be a 50-50 split the rest of the way. Montgomery against Detroit. We like playing players going against Detroit, and I like playing players against Chicago. This is going to be a good sneaky shootout spot. I don't know how sneaky. Neither defenses are very good, but it's not that it's going to be sneaky. It's that people aren't going to want to click the names that are next to the prices in a potential shootout situation, right? Jamal Williams, A lot of carries. DeAndre Swift not fully ready, one of the league leaders in terms of inside the 5 carries. But I'm going to buy into Deontay Johnson. They just traded away Claypool. I know that they're not throwing the ball downfield. Basically, the ball never travels more than like 5 or 6 yards past the line of scrimmage from Kenny Pickett, but something has to give because the volume is certainly there. He makes for a good bring back coming across from Alvin Kamara, and Pickens should also be a solid play in this range at 5K. In that spot if you wanted to spend up elsewhere. I'm going to go with Deontay Johnson to correlate with Alvin Kamara, giving me Trevor Lawrence double stacks, Kirk Jones bringing it back with Juju, Barkley and Kamara carrying this team, David Njoku, Deontay Johnson, and we'll plug in a cheap defense. You got 300 more. You can get up to like the 2,500 range if you like. Thank you guys for watching. Look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.